So we are starting with the first chapter of the first unit of Introductory Development Economics for the students who took economics as their major discipline in semester 5. So this chapter is about economic development. The problems faced by economic development. So development, we know, it is the process of improving the quality of all human lives and capabilities by raising people's levels of living, self-esteem and freedom. Development is simply improving people's lives. Okay. So development economics is the study of how economies can be countries, states, groups. So how economies are transferred from stagnation to growth, low income to high income status, overcoming the problems of extreme poverty. We know China, India, all are examples for that. We were colonized, looted, left with nothing, but now these countries are doing very well in the global level. Okay, so development economics tackles critical global questions about disparities in income, health, education, quality of life. It examines why some countries are wealthy while others remain poor, why worker productivity and job security vary, why public services are effective in some nations but inefficient elsewhere. The Western countries are doing pretty well in these things, but when it comes to the Eastern countries, or let's say Sri Lanka, like these countries are not doing well. Like they are at the brink of bankruptcy. They are inefficient governments, like unstable governments, like of Pakistan. Then we have in Afghanistan, then Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. Okay, so why these differences? So the key challenges include rapid population growth in some regions, then inefficient governance, persistent poverty despite global progress. So this field seeks to understand historical and current patterns of development, exploring how policies and programs can improve well-being. Despite advancements in public health, many of the world's poorest have yet to benefit significantly from global prosperity, underscoring the need for targeted development strategies. Okay, I have made notes on this, but let me see in the comment section. If required, just comment below. I'll share the notes as well. Okay, so 1.2. So these living standards, we discussed now that living standards differ around the world. They vary drastically worldwide, largely influenced by the geographic and economic factors. So people are often categorized into 4 income-based strata to understand these differences. Let me show you that these 3-4 pages are just the definitions of these 4 strata, which we can ignore because you can write them in a generic way, the definitions of these 4 strata. Okay, so these are the 4 stratas. Living standards strata. These are stylized sets of material living conditions. The 4 strata scheme was created by Hans Rosling. Lowest stratum, then you have second lowest stratum, then second highest stratum, then highest stratum, that is rich. So in the lowest stratum, it is extreme poverty. Okay, over a billion people endure extreme poverty, surviving on less than $1.9 per day. This is adjusted with this power parity, purchasing power parity, okay, which we will study in the next class. So many suffer from multi-dimensional deprivations like lack of nutrition, healthcare, lack of basic education and all. So these are people will be living in remote rural areas. Family often rely on subsistence farming. Subsistence farming means So subsistence economy is an economy in which production is mainly for personal consumption and the standard of living yields living like this basic necessity of life like food, shelter, clothing. These will be denied here. I mean, most cases they will be struggling to get these in a standard format. So subsistence farming means the farming and the cultivation is not for selling or not for profit or not for any market but for their own use. Here the infrastructure will be minimal. Inefficient schools, inefficient healthcare, water sources unsafe, then homes are typically made of mud with inadequate roof, food lack essential nutrients leading to malnutrition and related illness. You can read these points as well by your own. So next you have second lowest stratum, that is this includes individuals living on about $3.8 per day. Around 3 billion people fall into this category, often residing in urban or peri-urban areas. Employment is informal with limited worker protections. While they may have improved housing and access to outdoor water taps, the water often requires boiling. They use kerosene or other energy sources for cooking. Although better off than those in extreme poverty, they still face significant deprivations. Okay, you can see these things. Then we have second highest stratum. So here, this is considered solidly middle income globally. So comprises families living on $15 per day around, okay. More than 2 billion people belong to this group, primarily urban dwellers. They usually have access to electricity, motorbikes for transportation, and most primarily, like children do have education. However, there is inequality with affluent neighborhoods near impoverished slums. Despite some stability, many still work in informal or precarious jobs. Then we have this highest rich stratum. Nearly a billion people live comfortably, often in developed nations, earning about $75 per day. They have formal employment, well-equipped suburban homes, access to advanced medical care, education, technology. With stable living conditions and high life of expectancy, they enjoy a quality of life unimaginable to those in the lower strata. So, transformative progress is possible here. In this four, we can see, so in this fourth stratum, for the poor to improve their living standards, a transformative progress. For example, in China, rapid economic growth enabled families to move from rural poverty to urban prosperity within a generation. Right. Many rural individuals like Xiaoling migrated to cities, working in factories and eventually starting businesses. This shift highlights the potential for upward mobility, though it also underscores persistent inequality and the challenges of urbanization. Despite these advancements, stark disparities remain. More than three quarters of the extreme poor lives in rural areas, while millions in urban areas still struggle. Global efforts to address these inequities must consider the unique challenges and opportunities within each stratum. Understanding these differences provides a foundation for tackling poverty and improving living conditions worldwide. Okay. Next we have, so this is how countries are classified by average levels of development. So here we consider the GNI, gross national income. The total domestic and foreign output claimed by residents of a country, consisting of GDP plus factor income earned by foreign residents minus income earned by the domestic non-residents. Okay, that is gross national income. How are the countries classified here? So, the World Bank, or let's say the countries, are often classified by income levels and human development indicators. The World Bank groups nations into 4 income categories. Low income country. Okay, I'll show you. So low income countries means their gross national income per capita, GNI per capita, will be less than around $1,000. Okay, will be less than $1,000. In specific it is $996 in 2018. Okay, things are calculated in 2018. Then you have our lower middle income countries. For them, the GNI per capita will be in between $996 and $3,895. Again, calculated in 2018. Okay, let's say in between $1,000 and $4,000. For the upper middle class income countries, they have to have GNI per capita between $4,000 and $12,000. In between, around $3,896 and $12,055. In between these, they have to get their GNI. Then you have high income countries. So here the countries with GNI per capita will be, their GNI per capita will be above $12,055. Okay. These countries include Japan, US, parts of Europe enjoy high living standards. However, some nations such as Chile and Hungary barely meet these thresholds. Okay. Middle income countries now host over 60% of the global population due to significant growth to countries like China, India, Indonesia. Upper middle income nations have GNI per capita between around $4,000 and $12,000, while lower middle income countries range between $1,000 and $4,000. So, then lower income countries, GNI per capita below 1,000, comprise 10% of the global population, predominantly in sub-Saharan Africa. Despite progress, these nations face challenges including rapid population growth and poverty. Okay. So 60% are middle income countries. Then lower income countries includes around 10 to 15%. Then you have 16% countries as high income countries. Okay. The UN further classifies least developed countries based on low health, education and income levels alongside economic vulnerabilities. These 49 nations such as Afghanistan, Somalia face severe conditions, although many have seen improvements in life expectancy, education and income. Least developed countries. Okay. They are more like low income countries. So this LIC is a classification by World Bank, whereas LDC is a classification of least development countries, is a classification of UN. Next, the Human Development Index by United Nations Development Programme expands on income classification incorporating health and education. Human Development Index levels vary widely. Sub-Saharan Africa ranks low, South Asia and Arab states rank medium, Latin American and East Asia um, rank high, and OECD countries very high. OECD countries are very high. Okay. Significant growth in countries like China, which transitioned from LIC to UMC, that is low income country to upper middle class country within decades, highlights rapid development. However, many nations continue to struggle with extreme poverty and inequality. Understanding these disparities, income inequality, and development strategies forms a core focus of this text. Average obscure internal inequalities prompting exploration into policies that improve outcome across all groups. Then you have 1.4 Economics and Development Studies. So, development economics is a broad and empirical discipline using formal models to study a wide range of issues from household decision making to large scale economic transformations. It incorporates research from political economy, institutional economics, behavioral economics, and overlaps with fields such as labor, public, agriculture, environment, international economics, and all. Additionally, it draws from other social sciences including history, political science, psychology, sociology, and all. Unlike traditional economics, development economics focuses on economic, social, political, and institutional mechanisms necessary for rapid improvements in living standards, especially in low and middle income countries. These countries often face highly imperfect markets, limited information, significant structural changes with complicated economic decisions. Development economists also consider political and social priorities such as national unity, resolving ethnic conflicts, which can influence economic strategies. A central focus of development economics is understanding how poverty traps, where past poverty causes future poverty. Okay, how this can be broken. It also examines the role of government and coordinated economic decision making in transforming economies, particularly in nations with less effective institutions. In recent years, NGOs have gained importance, receiving more attention for their role in addressing development challenges. We are explaining these things, okay? A dynamic and a complex field. As a dynamic and a complex field, development economics must be eclectic. It must combine traditional economic theories with new models and multidisciplinary approaches, including historical and contemporary case studies. It is constantly evolving with emerging theories and data that sometimes challenge traditional views. The ultimate goal of development economics is to improve the lives of global population. Institutions are, so next you'll be studying about the institutions. Okay, so institutions are constitutions, law, regulations, social norms, rules of conduct, which are accepted ways of doing things. So economic institutions are humanly devised constraints that shape human interactions, including both informal and formal rules of games of economic life in widely used framework of Douglas North. Okay, a formally accepted behavior, that is economic institution. Then you have social system. It is the organization and institutional structure of a society, including its values, attitude, power, structure, and traditions. Okay. Then you have this role of women in development. So, women, we all know that women play a central role in development. So, itself, their empowerment is crucial for breaking the cycle of poverty. Women are generally poorer and more deprived in health, education, and freedom compared to men. They also bear the primary responsibility of child rearing in development countries, and their ability to invest in their children's well being is key to reducing generational poverty. Studies show that women tend to allocate a higher portion of their income to their children's needs compared to men. So, itself, we can say empowering women therefore has a significant impact on development. Development is viewed as a multi-dimensional process involving changes in social structures, attitudes, institutions, we discussed what it is, and accelerating economic growth while addressing inequality and poverty. It represents a shift from unsatisfactory living conditions to a materially and spiritually improved state. Nobel laureate Amartya Sen is a leading thinker on the human goals of economic development, highlighting its broad scope beyond its economic growth. Okay, next you have this the meaning of development according to Amartya Sen's capability approach. I'll complete this this chapter within this video itself. You just have two more topics. One is this, and the next one is happiness and development. I'll complete it. Okay. So, Amartya Sen is a Nobel laureate, we know. So, he presents the capability approach, which emphasizes that development should be understood beyond income and wealth, focusing instead on what people are able to do with the resources they have. Okay. Yeah. What people are able to do with the resources they have. Focusing on this. Okay. This perspective highlights that income and wealth are tools for human welfare and freedom, not ends in themselves. They are just tools. They are not the necessary mandatory ones. They are tools which can be used for their development. It doesn't mean that development can only be achieved with these tools. It can be also achieved with the resources. That is what capability approach means. Sen argues that poverty is not just about low income or utility, but about a lack of capability to function fully in society. What truly matters is what a person can do with resources available to them, not just what they possess. Okay. Sen identifies before that I'll explain the concept of functionings. So functionings, Sen introduces the concept of functionings, means what people do or can do with the commodities of given characteristics that they come to possess or control. Functionings refers to the activities and states that individuals value, such as being healthy, educated, participating in community life and all. Okay, functioning, being productive. So these functionings depend not only on the commodities a person possesses, but on their ability to use them effectively. For example, owning a book is of little use to an illiterate person. A person with a parasitic disease may not benefit as much from food as a healthy person would. So therefore, to assess well-being, it's essential to consider what people can actually do with what they have, not just what they have in terms of commodities. Okay. So Sen identifies 5 factors that contributes to disparities in well-being. Personal differences, that is disability. Disability is just an example for personal differences. Second one, environmental conditions like climate. Some countries, the climate condition is so pathetic that they cannot farm well. They cannot do the cultivation and get cheap food commodities like that. Okay, so environmental condition is the second one. Third, social context. In Afghanistan, you know the crime rates, like they have a pathetic government there, so the crime rates and all, the social context. Then family distribution. For example, if there exists unequal resource allocation within families, we know in Indian families, like mainly in majority of the families, the women have lack of resources allocated, right? That is what here mentioned. Then fifth is the cultural customs, different needs for social participation. These factors influence how resources are converted into capabilities. Sen stresses that economic well-being and utility are not enough to measure a person's overall well-being. Like, a person in poverty may seem happy due to subjective attitude, but that doesn't change the reality of their deprivation. His framework highlights the importance of health and education in enhancing individuals' capabilities, asserting that development should provide people with the freedom to choose their own functionings and opportunities. Ultimately, Sen's approach to development emphasizes human freedom, well-being and empowerment, not just material wealth. It aims for the expansion of life sustaining goods, higher living standards, greater individual choice, all crucial for achieving a better life. Next we have Dudley Sear. So in 1969, Dudley Sear defined development in terms of the reduction of poverty, unemployment and inequality. He argued that if these issues improve even without a significant rise in the per capita income, it indicates genuine development. If these problems worsen, the situation should not be considered development even if economic growth occurs. Even if economic growth occurs, it must not be development. That is what Dudley Sear opinions. Then Dennis Gollett in 1971 emphasized that development is legitimized as a goal because it is crucial for gaining esteem and improving social conditions. Next, coming back to Amartya Sen. Amartya Sen's framework on development builds upon the ideas of previous thinkers, offering a more systematic approach. Arthur Lewis, another Nobel laureate, stressed the importance of economic growth in expanding human freedom, not just increasing wealth. He warned against focusing solely on income growth or equating utility with income. Lewis argued that the real value of economic growth lies in broadening the range of human choices. While happiness remains a key aspect of development, it should not be reduced to mere income growth. Instead, development should focus on improving well-being through greater freedom and choices. Okay. Again, you have this Lewis model to be studied in the fourth chapter of this paper. Okay, I just mentioned that. So you are studying the four perspectives of four economists. Okay, Amartya Sen, Dudley Sear, then Lewis, Dennis Gollett. Then we are moving to the 1.6, that is happiness and development. Let me take that. So yeah, happiness and development. You have to see this graph. Okay. So happiness as a part of human well-being plays a key role in development. Economists including Amartya Sen argue that happiness can be an important functioning contributing to well-being. Studies show a relationship between income and happiness, but this connection varies significantly across countries. Research reveals that generally happiness increases with a country's average income, especially in low-income nations. However, after reaching an income of approximately $40,000 per capita, additional income does not substantially increase happiness. At higher income levels, most citizens escape extreme poverty and are healthier, better educated, and nourished. Happiness is influenced by more than just income. Richard Layard identifies several factors that contribute to happiness, including family relationship, financial security, work, health, personal freedom, community, personal values, and all. People tend to be happier when they are employed, not divorced, when they have high trust in others and a functioning democracy. For example, despite similar incomes, people do have similar incomes, but again happiness varies widely between countries such as Zimbabwe and Indonesia. Okay. So here comes a new perspective, new concept, not perspective, it's a new concept which relies completely on happiness. So that is what Bhutan government implemented. Bhutan government prioritized gross national happiness over gross national income. We studied that GNI, like World Bank, categorizes groups, nations based on their gross national income as low income countries, lower middle class, upper middle class, higher income countries and all. Here, Bhutan government prioritized happiness over that. So this incorporates broader capabilities such as GNH, okay, such as health, education, freedom. The 2010 Stiglitz-Sen-Fitoussi Commission emphasized the multidimensional nature of subjective well-being, recognizing the aspects like satisfaction, joy, pride, and all. But these should be measured separately for a more comprehensive understanding. That is, the GNI has to be checked. Also, this GNH has to be measured separately. So, this Stiglitz-Sen-Fitoussi Commission, more commonly known as Commission of the Measurement of Economic Performance and Social Progress, is a commission of inquiry created by French government in 2008. So, this inquiry examined how the wealth and social progress of a nation could be measured without relying on the unidimensional GDP measure. So this commission was formed in February 2008 and the chairman, Joseph E. Stiglitz was named as the chair. Amartya Sen was the economic advisor and French economist Jean-Paul Fitoussi was the coordinator. That's why Stiglitz-Sen-Fitoussi. Joseph E. Stiglitz, Amartya Sen, then Jean-Paul Fitoussi. Okay. So you have to take a note on that as well. So this is it about the first chapter. We have completed the first chapter. Oh, no, we are not. Yeah, we are not yet completed with this first chapter. Next, you have this sustainable development goals, which I'll take in the next class, in the next video. So till then, happy learning. Bye.